Hi, I'm Sterling, and you're learning American English with me once again. This video is a story about the social life of verb forms, pronouns, and the word not, and how they get together until sometimes they contract, forming contractions, and sometimes they don't. I wonder about my ideas, so I thought I should tell you if you're not a little bit modern minded, if you are very traditional, then now is your warning. Don't even listen to this video if you're super morally traditional. But if you can have fun with social realities, then by all means, do stay and listen. I had a dream about how to explain this last night, and the dream was like, let's think about these words as if they all had friendships. Sometimes as if these words even had a romantic life together. And that's when they contract, they form contractions. And when there's romance between the words, a spark of love, if you will, they form contractions. I hope this all comes out okay, because writing what you dreamed about always gets more complicated than it seems in the dreams. So there's going to be a series of videos here about each of the pronoun boys. I, you, we, they, he, she, and it. The 7 pronoun boys. Who they like, who they love. In other words, who they socialize with, and who they actually make contractions with. Today, we're only going to talk about the pronoun brother I and his various relationships. And we'll also talk about not. Not is one of the negative girlfriends of the verb form girls, and they come from the family to be. And we're going to talk about who not likes to make contractions with, because you see, not is not straight. And so not sometimes is really romantically close with most of the verb form girls from the to be family. And not can be a little kinky. It's all very socially interesting. And it's almost as complicated as real romantic life can be. So, if in English you are confused about the contractions of the pronouns I, you, we, they, he, she, and it, the 7 pronoun brothers, and about their contractions with the verb forms from the to be family, am, are, is, was, and were, and if you're confused about using the negating word not to form contractions with these verb forms, and if you're confused about how and when to use the right contraction, then this story might help you figure that out. And even if it doesn't, maybe it's a fun story. So today we're going to talk about one of these 7 pronoun boys and his adventures with the verb form girls from the to be family and with their girlfriend, not. So once there was once there were 7 pronoun brothers. They were all from the pronoun family. And like I said, these brothers were named I, you, they, we, he, she, and of course, it. Like 7 brides for 7 brothers. The most important of these pronoun brothers was named I. So the story is only about I and his romantic adventures, his hookups, his connections with two sisters from the verb family to be. And the story is about how the word not also sometimes gets involved in the relationship between I and two of his favorite forms of the to be family, because the two sister forms am and was are the two who connect with, have contractions with I all the time. So I also likes to hook up with a lot of verb forms from other verb families because, pronouns are straight. I mean, remember, pronouns are 100% straight. What does that mean? That means pronouns do not hook up with other pronouns, and they definitely don't hook up with not, because not wants nothing to do with them. The pronouns are straight and are attracted only to the verb form girls, and only to verb form girls. That's just the way they are. Plus, the verb form has to be just the right form to suit a pronoun. Well, depending on his mood, I goes out with one of these two sisters from the to be family. I never can be seen going out with any of the other family members of to be. Never, ever. I loves am. And he loves to contract with am, his only love. And although pronouns do like variety in their life, they're straight. And in this video, we won't talk about the other verbs that I goes out with. Not in this video, there's no time for that. And besides, am, one of the verb form girls, really doesn't want to know anything about that either. So, okay, what happens when I goes out with his true love, am? When I goes out with am, before the night is over, they usually become I'm for a while. They contract. It's natural. They form a contraction. They can't prevent that. They're in love. Then, after they've finished making a sentence, after they've finished contracting together, then they separate. Back in the old days, when I was growing up, they used to enjoy a cigarette together after a good contraction. Sometimes their really good friend not goes out with I and am. All three of them, they go out together. I, of course, is a one verb form pronoun because am is his girl. I is completely straight, of course. And I mentioned this he's very discreet. He says nothing at all to am about other things that go on with other verbs. But that's another thing. On the other hand, not, who is a girlfriend of am and a girlfriend of other verb forms, she will go both ways, but not, because not will form contractions with a lot of other verb forms, and she loves it. There's a special word in English for her, but she doesn't really care for her girlfriend am that way because she doesn't have a chemistry for am. So there's no connection between am and not. There's no chemistry. So if the three of them, I, am, and not, go out, the three of them together after a night of fun, it's not a surprise to find I contracting with am. But not doesn't get involved. When things heat up, it's only between I and am, and they contract. And I am not become I'm not for a while, because not just leaves those two alone while they contract. Then again, I does sometimes go out with was, but am doesn't mind because they never contract at all, because there's no chemistry, Am doesn't mind much because I and was don't have the same attraction to each other as I and am do. Because I and am almost always contract to form I'm. I'm over and over again. I'm. But I and was, they never get together that close. They never form a contraction with each other because they're just good friends. That's all. Just friends. If they make a sentence, they don't go all the way. I and was are always just I was. When it gets interesting is when I and was, just two good friends, also go out with not, who's really a free thinker and kind of loose. I already described her. You see, was, she does have a special attraction to not. And for some of the other verb form girls too, but today we're only going to talk about not hooking up with was to form wasn't. Well, I doesn't really care about that. You see, it's because was really has a big crush on not. They love it to be wasn't for just a while. While I just looks on separate from them. I doesn't care about that. I, was, and not go out together earlier in the evening, but then later on in the evening, what forms? I wasn't. And I just stands by. He lets was and not contract. Have a sentence together. So that's the rather complicated life of I, am, was, and not. If we could summarize it in short, I and am contract to I'm. Was and not contract to wasn't. But am and not never contract, and I and was never contract. I hope that helps you remember that. If not, oh well. But before we talk about the social life of the other pronoun brothers, there's an extra contraction involving I that only gets used in questions. Watch for that in the next video. Stay tuned. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Come on, man. Don't forget. What's I talking about? Anyway, come on, man. Just like and subscribe. And I'll see y'all the next time around in the next video. Bye for now.